Okay, so this thing about the app's not showing containers is kind of bothering me, and I think I knew that there was somewhere that we had used it. So for reference, this is the account that I'm talking about, and I fully understand that this is not built correctly, considering, but there's only one location, and then there's all these different, oops, didn't want to click on that, these different services. These services, the way this is built, you would expect each of those to exist under this location that you can see is right on the highway. That's actually Highway 180 and 2nd Street East. That's the location that is set. That is arbitrary. There's no rhyme or reason for that pin to be there, especially when, if you look at the individual services. So interestingly, this shows that service also pinned to that same address, which, if we actually click on the service, see, we're pulling the address location here, but then we get down here and we look at the container, and if we actually pull up the container, okay, I thought it was going to make me a liar looking at that little map on the previous screen. So if we actually pull up the container, we can see that this container is actually pinned in an entirely different location, because here would be 2nd Street East, where that location pin, the service location pin is, but the container is actually over here against this building. So if we go back, right, oh, that's the gate. Okay, had me nervous. There's a discrepancy right here, obviously, between the container location and the address location or service location, right? Which, again, I know that this is built incorrectly and I need to address it, but it does illustrate my point really well here, that even though all of these services are under this single location that is admittedly arbitrary, and also I guess I should apologize for being in the CRM on my tablet here with the app. I don't have a way to emulate the app on my computer. Maybe I do. Sorry, squirrel. But I don't have that set up. Anyway, the point that I'm making here is that, so we have all of these services, but notice that each one of these services has a quantity of one container underneath the service, right? Okay, that's important. My apologies for using the CRM on the tablet. That is for the sole purpose of not having to create two videos. In the future, I guess I should work on getting the emulator on my computer. Okay, so in the new app, if I were to pull up any of these, actually, that's a great question. Anyway, the point is, this is that same 8-yard, right, that should be over here, and it's showing up on the new app pinned right in the center of town. The service location as opposed to the container location, right? But now I'm curious. That says it's sequence 63, but I also believe that there should be one at sequence 30 something. Yeah, so 32 right here. Also USDA Mattel, right? That's the actual 8-yard. But then if I view the map, it just says that 32 is right there in the center of town on 2nd Street East, and when it should be over here. The sequence number 63, we were on a 3-yard, which from this app, I have no idea where that would be. But if we go to the old app, right, sequence number 31 is exactly where we want it. The only place that it can get that from is the container information, right? And then if we were to pull up, what was that, 63-ish? I don't know why the apps disagree on the sequence number, but okay, on this one, sequence 62. Oh, the joys of... I really should get the emulator going, because then I can trick where it thinks I am. Uh-oh, that's the wrong town. There we go. So sequence 62, up here. Again, the only place where it could get that information is from the container location, right? So, where this breaks down, though, the other thing that you'll notice is that this is a single container in the service, right? So just a single 3-yard, quantity 1, right? And it will ignore the location and pull up the container. But what I'm finding is if I go, let's pull up one of those campground accounts, right? If I go to something that has a quantity of 9, right? In this case, but anything greater than 1, right? I have all of these containers, and notice that they're all pinned in different locations, right? And yet the only location that shows up is the service location, pinned right there, when there's multiple containers underneath. And then even the old app, and you have to bear with me, if this were the new app, would be very quickly, but we'll let that run in the background. When I don't know why exactly, and maybe it is pulling a container, but it's only pulling one of these, whether it's container 1 or top of the list, container 5 over here, or if it's actually just defaulting back to the service location. But if I have well, at least I've already downloaded the information. Okay, so, but if I have, so again, in this case 9, so I don't know, container 8. Sorry, I don't know why. I forget every time, and then I'm sad that it chose to go to me instead of where I wanted. So it is pulling, that is container. That is a container. It's ironic that it's sequence 8 and container 8, but even if I choose a new container number. So I think it's just pulling, I think it's grabbing the container. Oh, I think it's grabbing whatever that the app is latching onto, whatever container number is at the top of the list. See, it's still in the same exact spot. Whereas, and this is on, correct our orientation here, this is on the south side of that little dirt road. Whereas the actual service location pin is on the north side of that little dirt road. So it's actually pulling the first location, the first container location that it sees from the list, and then latching onto that. No matter what container I select, it will only ever view that first container, and I don't want to scroll down there anymore. So it'll only ever grab that first container in the list and display that one on the map. But I don't see us realistically building 9 services on this account, 9 6-yard services, just to be able to view individual containers. But adding this quantity here, it doesn't behave right in the app, and it doesn't behave right for other things either, like billing. Although I don't know if that's updated as we go to independent pricing, if I add 1 6-yard and then at a certain price and then change the quantity, if it will do the math for me and come up with that $2,000 number. Currently it does not. I can have 6 yards. I can add a service, right? For a 6-yard service, it'll default to whatever that is, $218 a month or whatever that is, and then change the quantity to 9, and it will stay that same price. So I don't know if independent pricing will update that, and then that quantity becomes relevant. But it definitely doesn't appear to be relevant to the app as far as locating those containers, even though I go in there and set the location for each one of those containers. So which makes the inventory aspect of this very difficult. I need to be able to send a driver out with a tablet and have him be able to locate every container in the fleet or on the route, and not get into some of those campgrounds where there's a maze of turns in those campgrounds that you can't. It's not like you're going into an open parking lot where you can just see the container over there hiding next to a light pole. And these campgrounds are often in areas that don't have cell service, so it's not like they can call for help either. But part of the draw to the tablets is that they have a map right there that's supposed to show them where things are, and it is downloaded ahead of time when you did have cell service. So, but it's not working that way. So I can't just send a new driver out that's never been on the route to go fill in for this mountain route, because they'll get lost in campgrounds. So unless I've trained someone new on where these things are going to be, then it doesn't actually provide the benefit we were hoping for. And like I said, I don't know if that's a bug or if it's just overlooked or what. But if, just as I dug into this, if we add a quantity under a single service, will not show us container locations in either app. But if you build it relatively incorrectly, or I guess what I should say is that on the old app, or the production, I don't know what you want to call it, the primetime app, the non-beta, whatever. And as long as you have each of your containers in its own service like this, one container, then yes, the address location or service location, I guess I should say, is not relevant. It will display the container location. But if you have multiple containers under a single service, it latches onto one of them, and that's all it will ever show you. Anyway, I beat this into the ground, so I'm going to stop this. And thanks for looking into it.